Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this video we're going to be discussing all about the Adani Group stocks and why are they really soaring. All the Adani Group stocks are up into the green today, rising all the way up to 19% on an intraday basis. The group's market cap has now intraday hit 13 lakh crore rupees as well. In fact, the Adani Group stocks have added 95,195 crore rupees to investors' wealth in today's trading session. And after yesterday, this is the second day running when the Adani stocks are in flavor. Yesterday, the big rally or the big move really came in on the back of the landslide victory of BJP in 3 state elections out of the 4, which was a big trigger. But today's trigger is also that there are reports that have suggested that the US has found the short seller Hindenburg's allegations to be irrelevant to the Adani ports financing. This fresh trigger has come in as Bloomberg has reported that International Development Finance Corporation was satisfied that Hindenburg's claims were not applicable to Adani ports, the company spearheading the Colombo project in Sri Lanka. Around the same time, we've also seen Adani Green also announcing that it is going to be raising $1.36 billion from a consortium of 8 international banks as project finance. So these two key triggers coming in. Joining in to share more details on this and what does it really mean for the Adani Group, and is this a fresh trigger for also as an opportunity for investors? I have with me Mr. Avinash Gorakshakar, Head of Research at Profit Mart Securities, now joining in. Very good morning to you, Avinash, and thank you so much for taking the time out. Tell us first, this news that's coming in, does it mean that the US government has given a clean chit to Adani Ports, the loans that were extended for the Sri Lankan project?
Yeah, I think good afternoon, Sakshi. Clearly, I think this news flow which has come from the US government clearly vindicates the stand that, earlier reports stating that there was some fraudulent activity by the Adani group, specifically as far as Adani Ports is concerned, is now laid to rest. My sense is it's a big sentimental booster for the entire Adani group. As far as Adani Ports is concerned, I think the stock has already moved up, after this news flow has come to the market. And I think most investors are now relieved because for a lot of time over the last, say, 12 months, this report was, creating a lot of uncertainty for investors. In fact, this was a largely unattended issue earlier, but now with this, I think it is very clear that all the Adani Group companies would definitely see better times ahead. Of course, volatility in these counters would continue, but I think clearly the downside is now more or less capped. And I think, companies like Adani Ports, Adani Power, or for that reason, Adani, even, Total Gas, which are large, asset creators and which have got reasonably good cash flows in the business, would definitely do well. So I think net, I think that's the reason you're seeing a lot of activity in these stocks today. My sense is that these could be good bets, if one looks at the longer term kind of positioning of the business. But yes, I think it would be better if, investors obviously buy these stocks on decline because they've run up also quite sharply. But definitely, I think the uncertainty phase is over.
Okay, so on Adani Ports, what would your view be like? What kind of targets do you see going forward if somebody is looking at these positive developments, is taking a fresh position? What is the kind of upside you see?
Yeah, I think the stock has already moved from 700 odd rupees. So my sense is that, at these levels, the upside could be restricted to say 1050 to 1100. And thereafter, then depending on what kind of performances the company puts up, because clearly market would also be looking at, clear data points. But I think the positioning of Adani Port is very unique. I think, if India has to grow its GDP, then I think ports are a very essential part of the overall GDP growth. And my sense is that it's more like a monopolistic business where typically, they've got about 35 to 38 ports. And that actually lends a lot of credibility and robustness to their business model. So I think 1100, 1150 could be a near-term target. Targets could be revised going forward based on the data point which the company delivers.
Okay, and on Adani Green, which has now raised $1.4 billion loan for its largest renewables park, construction funding has been secured from 8 global banks. How do you view this news for Adani Green? The stock is up 17% now.
Yeah, I think the news is definitely positive, but I think here my sense is that the stock has moved up quite significantly in a very short period of time. So I think, investors who have already got positions here can continue to hold. But I think fresh position should be done at slightly lower levels. I think, whether the market gets this stock down or not is a difficult, thing to comment. But I think at lower levels, the risk reward would be better. So I think, fresh investors should wait for some meaningful correction so that they can buy on tips.
Okay. How do you view these developments just days after the Supreme Court concluded the hearings on the Adani Group? Can we clearly say that the worst is behind us as far as the group is concerned, and now things could be rather going fundamental way as far as the Adani Group is concerned?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, the negative part has now been completely taken out, and I think going forward, Adani Group is definitely poised to grow quite faster. I think obviously the group will also be quite safeguarded in talking to the analysts as well as to the press community. But my sense is that they have a very strong business model, and I think the next say 12 to 18 months could be quite strong for this group. Hopefully, once the general elections are over, you could see a further re-rating in these companies.
Okay, and what would your pecking order be from the Adani Group's basket in case one has to really bet on the stocks right now? How would you really place them?
Yeah, I think in terms of the current price, Sakshi, we believe that Adani Ports, Ambuja Cements, and Adani Power, these are three bets where a recent amount of money can be made even from the current odd levels. Adani Transmission, Adani Green, or for that reason, Adani Total Gas are very good businesses, but valuations seem to be quite pricey.
Okay, the valuations seem to be quite pricey at this point in time. Anything that still appears cautionary as far as the Adani Group is concerned for you? What are you really now waiting for? What should be investors' stance before going ahead and looking at Adani Group as a whole positively?
So I think my guess is that the only sore point for the Adani Group is that a lot of retail investors have got stuck up in these companies at higher levels. So I think you could see a little bit of selling pressure at higher levels, from investors who have got stuck up here. But I think for fresh investors and for new investors who have bought these shares recently, I think it's going to be a good southward journey. My sense is that it will take some time before you see value creation happening again. But in the near term, there could be some correction, there could be some sell-off in these companies also. So I think investors need to take that point that a lot of retail investors have got stuck up here after the Hindenburg crash. So I think you'll have to take a slightly longer term view in investing in such companies, which we believe are definitely looking solid. And there are a lot of HNI, there are a lot of institutional investors who would now like to buy these stocks from the market. So that is going to be an added plus for the for the entire Adani group.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much, Avinash, for being with us on the show and discussing all these insights about the Adani Group with all our viewers. Always a pleasure speaking to you and getting all those insights. But the Adani Group stocks are clearly in flavor, all of them up, rising up to almost 90% on an intraday basis. Adani Green currently is the top mover as far as the group stocks are concerned, up 90%, followed by Adani Ports, that's now up by almost 16 to 17% in trade as well. 7% odd in trade as well. Adani Enterprises also up by 7%. You're also looking at Adani Energy Solutions now up by 5%. And of course, the group cement majors, Ambuja Cement and ACC, they are both moving up in trade. Adani Wilmar is up by 4% odd as well. And Adani Power also up in trade by almost 5% Clearly, the 13 lakh crore rupees mark has been achieved. But still, from a 52-week high level, the group's market cap still has a long way to go from here. However, the sudden sharp rise, Avinash says, could be giving way to some more selling pressure, profit booking taking place. However, investors should be watching out for 2 or 3 top stocks that he's mentioned, Adani Ports, Adani Power and Ambuja Cements as his top favorites from the Adani Group's basket. With that, we will wrap up this special video right here. But do stay tuned as a lot of action continues on your screens right after this too.